Hey Max, I got a joke. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Bang, motherfucker!
Oh, come on, Laughing Man. That's just insensitive. I mean, honestly, in this day and age, how can any decent human being even think of making that sort of... Oh, wait a second. The victim was male, wasn't he? Oh, well, that changes everything then. The fucker probably deserved it anyway.
Oh, just gotta love that selective outrage, don't you? Mm-hmm. Which brings us to our new topic. It's rare that our beloved Reason magazine doesn't know what the fuck it's doing, as judged by these different opinion pieces about the same exact fucking topic, which is the canceled cover of the Batgirl comic. And as usual, we're late to the party.
Yes, I believe that at this point, most of our viewers are aware of what's happened, and as far as the Batgirl cover goes, Reason has made, I believe it was 3 articles on the subject matter, and the one that I read first was the one by Nick Gillespie, whom I actually like as a writer. I've read some of his articles in the past, and usually I'm more or less in agreement with this gentleman.
Usually.
But the problem is, in this particular case, I guess it bears saying that Reason is a libertarian magazine, so what the author tried doing this time is he tried to go with a libertarian, companies listening to what the consumers are saying type of angle.
Exactly, the power of the consumers influence the companies.
Yes, and as many commenters have pointed out, it wasn't really the consumers, it wasn't really the Batman fans who took offense with this cover. Instead, it was a bunch of professional killjoys. They are the ones who are basically going, you know what, I don't care about Batman, I don't care about what happened, but I am offended by this, and therefore you should take it down. Which is why it was kind of hard for me to stomach Nick Gillespie's article, because, political correctness basically takes another stab in the heart of creative freedom, and meanwhile, they pan the camera a little bit to the right, and there's Nick Gillespie going, "Isn't the future wonderful, folks?"
Not exactly. Well, the 1988 graphic novel The Killing Joke is the inspiration for this particular cover, and of course it's one of the darkest stories in DC canon. It's the one that made the Joker serious business, and made him, not just a little petty criminal who leaves behind, laughing gas and Jack in the Boxes and other types of stupid shit, though, but actually made him a menace.
Yes, and a fascinating villain to boot.
Absolutely. And in the story, Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, is shot in her spine by the Joker, leaving her temporarily disabled. And there's also some allusions to sexual assault, because the Joker, in order to make Barbara's dad, Commissioner Gordon, go absolutely crazy, which is his warped logic and the plot behind The Killing Joke, he strips her naked and takes lots of pictures of her dying on the floor and forces him to look at those photos. Mm-hmm. And of course it's a comic book made by the great Alan Moore.
Yes, who, by the way, has gone on record saying that the Joker did not, in fact, rape Barbara Gordon.
Yes. Well, it's no coincidence that Alan Moore has often been labeled as a misogynist by those who see his work at face value and can't be arsed to do some very basic research on his very pro-female views. Because unfortunately, actual research involves reading more than 140 characters. Speaking of which, controversy started on Tumblr of all places.
Of course.
Because of the internet scrutiny, DC pulled the cover.
Right. And I personally believe it was censorship, because I saw this post on once again, a Tumblr blog of all places, called something to the effect of the Women of DC Iraq, or, DC female characters for the win, or something.
I wonder what their political affiliation is.
But anyways, the thing is, the post in question basically tried to disprove all of the legitimate criticisms that people like us have about, censorship and stifling of creative freedom by basically screen capping a tweet from the current writer of the Batgirl comic, saying that it's not really censorship because this cover does not really reflect the kind of themes and ideas and the direction of the current Batgirl comic book. Which, I will agree, it does not. However, I would argue that it doesn't really have to. This Batgirl cover, it didn't come out of nowhere, DC didn't just decide on a whim to remind everyone of the events of an almost 30-year-old graphic novel. Instead, it's all part of a larger promo campaign that will take place in June that's meant to celebrate the Clown Prince of Crime's 75th anniversary. And if we take a closer look at all of these different covers, we see that the vast majority of them give the Joker the upper hand and put the heroes in a perilous situation. Yet no one gives a shit about the fact that, say, The Flash is about to get hit with a cane in his cover, or that, say, the Joker is dancing some sort of twisted dance macabre with Wonder Woman and has a bomb behind her back. Somehow no one gives a crap about that, but in the case of Batgirl, oh my god, hashtag sexism, hashtag take this filth down.
But Max, Batgirl is crying on the cover. Surely no male comic book character has ever cried while being at the mercy of a villain.
Oh, really? Well, in that case, what do you think of them apples?
But like Nick Gillespie says, the entire angle that he took is the fact that, companies are catering to public opinion, which I think is good.
Yes, in an ideal world.
Yes, in an ideal world this is great, because say like, companies putting lead in the baby food or something like that. the lead in the baby food might explain a lot of the Tumblrism, but it still means that the consumers still have a say in what corporations do, regardless how big they get and how much money they have and how much influence they think they have. However, like you said, is it really the comic readers who are decrying and denouncing this particular cover? An article by Rob Bricken of IO9 titled "The Real Problems with This Controversial Batgirl Cover" says, and I quote, "It's incredibly sexist. I would hope that even the most bitter of woman-hating male comic fans surely have to agree that male superheroes, unless he was a child, would never be drawn crying while being held hostage by a supervillain."
Really?
Now...
Really?
Yeah, now let's take a quick look at this. I hope that even, and I'm quoting this, I hope that even the most bitter of woman-hating male comic fans. Okay, there's no commas in any of this shit. He's implying that male comic fans are inherently bitter and women-hating.
Yes, by default.
Yes, and you know what this is called? This is called fucking bullying.
Absolutely.
And of course, IO9 is part of Gawker, the very company who, as we covered in our hashtag Messiah/SJW trilogy, whose owners and the people who ran Gawker into the ground have suggested in their public tweets that nerds need to be bullied into submission.
Yes.
Fucking screenshot. Bam! Add a firework if you want to, Max. I don't give a fuck. The question worth asking is, how come feminists are attacking the traditional geeky mediums, video games, comic books, etc.? Why isn't Gawker going after rap videos? And where's the outrage for the blatant objectification of women in the Fast and Furious 7 trailer? You have to understand what it's like being a geek to get what's going on. You have to understand what it's like to be snobbed and bullied and maligned by others until your self-worth is crippled and stunted, i.e., these people are easy targets. You have a base of people who traditionally like video games, traditionally like comic books, who are very likely to be submissive and desperate to play the nice guy to get approval, to get that little pat on the head. Just look at the geek who in your high school or wherever else, who carries the books for the hot girl, who basically uses them and has absolutely no intention of ever reciprocating. So geeks are being threatened not only with violence, Gawker, but with the snotty promise of being denied sex by being labeled as misogynists if they don't conform to this world view. Am I saying that feminists are bullying geeks? Fucking right I am.
It's all about establishing your dominance over everyone else, though. You see, only until a few years ago, being a geek was something that was looked down upon by most of society. However, with the recent success of superhero movies and TV shows like The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, all of a sudden, being into historically geeky stuff like comic books or science fiction has become the latest popular trend among the cool kids. As a result, you have a group of people who had never given a crap about stuff like comic books, video games, TV shows, etc., all of a sudden infiltrating said mediums and trying to poison them with their own brand of ignorance and bias.
I was going to say, why don't these people go after real-life misogyny? I mean, why don't they go after, cultures and religions that still treat women as second-class citizens?
Because that would require some actual effort.
That would require work, exactly. To paraphrase Marcus Aurelius, you should never consider the opinions of those who don't even meet their own fucking standards.
Well, not only that, but why should we give someone's opinion any credence when that someone freely admits to their own ignorance? I mean, look at Mary Sue. Right in the beginning of their article, they say, "Full disclosure, I have never read The Killing Joke."
Shh! Brilliant.
Yeah, but of course the author is still gonna share her grievances with this cover, even though she has just admitted that she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about.
That's almost as brilliant as saying, I've never watched The Accused, but since it features a rape scene on a pinball table, it's evil and anti-woman. It's like, that's the fucking point. You gotta watch the goddamn thing to understand it.
But that's the thing, you know, these people, these hashtag progressives, they're the ones to always say that we need to sit down and have an open debate. Yet this, change the cover / save the cover incident has shown that an open and honest debate is the last thing they want. They throw out this ridiculous statement, they get proven wrong, and instead of saying, wow, you know what, I was wrong, they instead block you.
Yes, just like the fucking comic book creator.
Yeah, here's another screen cap where a woman who, according to her, is a rape survivor, and her tweet reads, "Do you have a problem with me, a girl and a rape survivor, appreciating the cover as inspiration?" And what do you think? Did the writer go, wow, the fans really don't mind this, we should probably keep this going? No, blocked. I don't care.
It's because these people have to preserve these perfect little immature bubbles, these little distortions of reality that they have. Anything that's conflicting gets rejected.
Sometimes it's really exhausting to sit there and look at all these opinions and go, all right, freedom of speech, they have a right to say it, and
they do.
And they do, but the problem is they never reciprocate. They never look or listen to what we say and go, it's like, you know what, I don't agree with this, but whatever, they have a right to say it.
Well, the freedom of speech simply means that the government can't censor you. It doesn't mean that people can't call you out when you talk out of your ass, but again, it's just there's no exchange of ideas happening. It's total fascism. You either agree with me or else I'll block you on Twitter. And it's like, wow, golf clap.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we keep on using the term progressives in like double quotes, because this is as anti-classic liberalism as you can get. And we're not conservative, we're not liberal, but when it comes to like something like Voltaire saying, I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it, that is what is at the heart of our complaints. There's no reciprocation going on. It's totally one-sided.
Right, and just because they scream the loudest doesn't mean that they talk for all of us.
Yes, that's our job.
And in our best moments, we create a framework by which people who disagree can argue, and then each of them learns more from that. And that's what society is all about, and one would hope that that's what the university is all about.
Hey folks, CineMax here. Just wanted to thank you all for watching the first episode of our brand new show, Wasted Effort, as well as for your patience these past couple of months. We know that we've been erratic at best when it comes to timely releases, but believe us when we say that we've been doing everything in our power to get our heads out of our asses and deliver fresh content to you folks on a regular basis. And this video is just one of the many fruits of our labors. Anyway, most of you should know the drill by now. Like, share, subscribe, etc. However, if you're a newcomer who's only just stumbled across this channel by accident, then here's how this basically works. If you want to see more of our videos, then feel free to click on any of the video thumbnails on the right. These should give you a pretty good idea of who we are and what we do. And hey, if you like what you see, don't hesitate to press that big red subscribe button. The more followers we get, the more incentive we have to produce more content. Also, on the left, you will find a list of links to our various social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, what have you, as well as our Patreon page, where you can help support this channel with a small tip every month in exchange for some juicy rewards as a sign of our genuine appreciation and gratitude. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all when our next video comes out. Which, knowing our work ethic, should be sometime within the next 12 weeks. I jest, of course. Like I said, we are working on expediting our creative process. But anyways, see ya!